everyone, and welcome. So, I am Eleen Meleng, the content director of CISO Philippines and CISO in APAC. Today, we are diving into one of the most important and often misunderstood challenges in cybersecurity today, that is, securing operational environments without disrupting the business they are designed to run. So, as organizations accelerate digital transformation across manufacturing, logistics, supply chain, and industrial operation, the convergence of IT and OT is creating enormous opportunity, but also significant complexity. And cybersecurity teams are under pressure to modernize environment, to strengthen resilience, and also adopting emerging technologies like AI and automation. Yet, in many operational settings, even a small disruption can have immediate business consequences. What makes this conversation particularly interesting is that the challenge is no longer simply about deploying more security tools. It's about understanding operational realities, balancing uptime with protection, and rethinking how security can enable transformation rather than slowing it down. So, to help us unpack this, I am delighted to be joined by John David Frilles from Kenvue, Philippines. David, thank you for joining us today. So before we begin, could you briefly introduce yourself and share a little bit about your role at Kenvue?
All right. So thanks, Eleen. Great to be here. Thanks for having me here. So as we said, I'm John David Frilles. You can call me David, Regional Network Services and Infrastructure Security Leader for Kenvue across the Asia Pacific region. And as you know, Kenvue has its global presence, offering our iconic brands such as a few that you know, like Listerine, Band-Aid, Aveeno. It's an FMCG industry, which is a combination of manufacturing, supply chain, and then corporate environments. And basically, what I do is I take care of anything related to the network, technology
Mhm.
operations, infrastructure, cybersec governance across 14 Asia Pacific countries, which pretty much is around 130 states.
Mm.
So yeah,
Won-
that's what I do.
Awesome, wonderful. I'm excited to dive into this topic. So, let's just dive into the first question that I have here. One of the biggest tension in IT and security is the cultural clash between enterprise IT and operational environment. We often see IT teams are applying traditional corporate security thinking to manufacturing systems. They are treating a multi-million dollar production line like a corporate laptop, which can sometimes create a more downtime risk rather than attacker themselves. So, from your experience, David, where do organizations typically get this wrong? And how should cyber leaders rethink security approaches in operational environment?
Okay, so this concern is should be approached in the perspective that the single biggest risk isn't actually a sophisticated external hacker or attacker on these IT/OT
Mm,
environments. It's actually an internal cultural mismatch, especially if an enterprise IT team is treating a multi-million dollar manufacturing plant, let's say, a corporate office laptop, you might
mm,
say. Because in the IT world, if a system misbehaves, the standard playbook is to patch it, reboot it, fix it, and just accept a few minutes of downtime. But in the OT world, if an for a PLC, an MES, or a SCADA or whatever is related to a manufacturing environment freezes on the factory floor, what really happens is production lines halt instantly, supply
mm,
chains break, and unfortunately, you lose millions in revenue per hour. This is actually like the biggest impact that you can get during these ones. So where companies are completely underprepared is a total lack of basic visibility, rushing to bridge these networks together before they even have an accurate inventory of what these legacy devices are sitting on their plant floors. And this is one of the major issues on the IT/OT space is that there are a lot of legacy devices being placed out there. Sometimes businesses are scared to upgrade them, modernize them because something might break and then it completely translates to revenue. So that's how
mm.
it is.
Yeah. So just picking up on that, how do you build trust between security teams and operation team? This talks about the culture side of thing, when their priorities can sometimes feel completely opposite. What's your thought
Yeah,
around that?
so
Yeah.
so what we tend to tell our team, especially the tech guys, is that we are placed here on the cybersec or tech space in order for us to protect the business on a cybersecurity sense, but also make them agile and digital when it
Mm,
comes to competitiveness, obviously to the other competitors.
mm,
So, in short words, what it means is that they should be sensitive on what these tech pieces work in relation in how it relates to the business operations. So when we tell the people that, hey, this tech items that you take care of, this is how they relate to the business, then they become more sensitive and they have this sense of ownership that, hey, if we don't
mm,
take care of these things on the cybersec side, or at the very least on making sure that when we implement changes, we do it in a structured way and we communicate it to the business so we don't like bring down the operations, then the business side would be able to understand our sentiments when it comes to protecting
mm,
the
yeah.
bits and
Yeah.
pieces of these things. They understand that we also want to protect their business. We also want to protect downtimes. We also want to protect financial impacts, especially brand reputation.
Mm. Yeah, I like the word ownership there. It kind of makes like cybersecurity should be everyone's responsibility, not just the security team, not just the OT team, or vice versa. So, David, there's also a very real issue around what I would call uptime anxiety. Operation teams are often resistant to security initiatives because every additional control is seen as potential disruption to production, revenue, and also customer delivery. Do you think the industry has underestimated this operational fear? And how can organization balance resilience with business reality that downtime simply isn't acceptable?
Uh, so what other companies usually don't notice is that they think that compliances and uptime anxiety are like battling each other when it comes to how the whole business operations work. I would argue that you balance everything by shifting your approach from ruling
Mhm.
by the compliance checklist to managing uptime anxiety in a way that operations managers, for example, they don't push back against cybersecurity teams or people because they want it to be difficult or they just want the work to be difficult. They push back because their performance is judged strictly on
Mm,
continuous revenue and production quotas. So that's why if you walk onto, let's say, a manufacturing plant floor, let's say demanding a patch window, we want this to be done on a midday, but it stops a conveyor belt, obviously you will be rejected.
yeah.
So that's why the solution is making sure that there's architectural isolation and making sure you accept the reality that you cannot easily modify or install anything,
Yeah.
especially on OT systems, whenever you want. What do you want is a couple of things. You secure the perimeter around them. So basically, you isolate the bubble that is within the OT. One solution you can also do is micro-segmentation if you want it to be identity-based. And then you isolate the blast radius so that if a security incident happens, it is locked into like one
Mm,
time cell. Now, others might say this is too technical, to be honest. And this is the way cybersecurity teams have done it. But if you were able to explain this to the business, like operations managers, plant leads, that these kinds of solutions would be able to isolate your OT environment, then they
mm,
would understand that a higher risk has been mitigated. And then they would agree, obviously, to whatever you want to do on the
yeah.
technical things.
Yeah, it looks like security that respects operation kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. So, and David, moving on to like hype and buzzword topic for my next question. There's currently enormous excitement around AI-driven cybersecurity, autonomous operations, and also advanced automation. But at the same time, many organizations still struggle with basic architectural hygiene, visibility, segmentation, and also asset management. Are enterprise moving too quickly towards advanced automation before fixing foundational security issues first?
Yeah, so if you're going to look at it on a more practical lens, I would say that AI is expanding the attack surface
Mm,
significantly faster than it is helping us
yes,
defend it.
yes,
So, because obviously when you deploy these AI systems, it's like you're giving them an open door for people outside to get in. Bad actors, for example, using generative AI to automate deep vulnerability scanning. Then you just launch highly targeted exploits at the speed that human operators simply cannot match. So
mm,
I might say my urgent warning to tech and security leaders is this, that do not rush into purchasing complex automated AI security tools
yeah,
if your underlying infrastructure hygiene is broken. We actually use the analogy of in NBA for Tim Duncan because he's called Mr. Fundamental for a reason. He's not
yeah,
the most flashy player, but he always used his fundamentals, which brought him into five NBA championships. Basically, the point is we need to have our underlying infrastructure hygiene where its fundamentals are very good. For example, identity, network, asset management, asset discovery. Because even if your network lacks basic segmentation and your identity directories are unmanaged, an automated threat will just move laterally across your entire
mm,
corporate and operational
mhm,
footprint. And this is just in seconds. Just
yeah,
in seconds. So if you want
yeah,
long-term resilience, prioritize your baseline architectural hygiene first. Here in CISO Philippines, this is actually an opportunity for the speakers to be able to outline what are these fundamentals. And then once you have your basic hygiene set up, then you pursue AI to help you with your business operations.
yeah. Do you think that's the one thing the foundational discipline organization should get right before layering AI and automation on top? The
Yeah,
architectural, yeah?
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, um, moving too quickly with automation, this is moving at a breakneck speed because
Mm,
business demands efficiency. I understand that some of our stakeholders, finance people, the board is wanting to put AI for efficiency, being better versus our competitors. But, automation without strict governance and the fundamentals is just automating your liabilities, I might say.
mm. That's a very good way to put it, like automating liabilities rather than actually generating revenue. All right. All right. Thank you, David, for such an honest and insightful discussion. I think one of the strongest takeaways for me in this conversation is that cybersecurity in operational environment cannot simply be copied and pasted from traditional IT models. It requires context, it requires collaboration, and much deeper understanding of how businesses and operational line actually operates. So David, thank you once again for sharing your perspective and experience with us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Stay safe.